Boy, that's crazy.
Obviously, you had big tape in college and different things like that. And if you get claimed, I'd be really happy for you. And then appreciate it because they're saying I understand how kind of everything. Yeah. But I think we only get better. I think this system.
All right, we live. I think we are live.
Very good.
Yep, we are good.
Especially on the lab and everything. So yeah, I'm excited to keep learning everything. Like I said, if you get claimed, that's a positive thing, and it means you're on 53 somewhere. But if you don't get claimed,
Can you hear that background?
Mm-hmm.
Let me turn that down.
All right, let's see here. I think he went out on me again.
Did I?
Mm-hmm. Oh, there you go. He's back again. I'm going to share this a little bit, and then we're going to talk because some people probably trying to get in here. So I'm going to share it around a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So we just going to rock. It's late night. I don't care about sharing. All right. What's up, big dog? How you doing?
Man, I'm good. How are you?
Hey, man, just living the dream, dog. You know what I'm saying? Getting ready for this season, getting ready for this Cowboys football is right at hand. But the reason why I brought you in today, because I want to give a little breakdown and education for the people out there who may not know how these defensive positions work. A lot of people hear about the one tech. They hear about the 3 tech, 5 tech, 7 tech, two gap system, one gap system. I want to kind of educate the people out there who may not really know what's going on with that, as far as the positions, and when they say those terms, like what do they mean? As we see people getting ready to come in the feed. What's up, the Lunatic, Root, Glock, Eastside, Harold, Kid Roscoe? Keep them coming, keep them coming. Love to see everybody in the feed. But we're going to talk about that today. But first, before we do anything else, I want to give you a congratulations because you had a post on your Twitter feed. Let's see if I can get it over here. There we go. That's getting ready to come up. What up, James Gary? What's up, Kid Roscoe, Eastside Harold, Root, Glock, the Lunatic? Keep on coming. You have to share this because I ain't got the time to be doing all that sharing. But you might see them in the little corner, but I got your guys highlighted right quick, and I'm actually going to zoom out of this thing real quick. Hold on, big dog. All right, so I got some of your players up here. Rashard Lawrence, Jason Strobridge. Name some of these guys because I got all your guys that you just recently trained. What happened? I want you to give the lowdown.
So for the first time ever, every single guy that I took through combine training, pro day training, and what little bit we had for the pre-draft process, everybody made the team.
Nice.
So I was 10 out of 10 this year, man, which was just it was mind blowing, man. It blew me away. So we've been around here on cloud 9 since Saturday.
Man, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, we actually
Yeah.
got hooked up. We hooked up before the draft. We were actually supposed to be down in the draft together and kick it, but
Right.
COVID stopped all that. Hey ho, we got my dog the ninja with the $5 holla. My dog, get them likes up and like he says. But we had to talk about this, and it's a beautiful thing for us to talk about all those players that you trained. We went through each player, the breakdowns of them, and to see them actually get on the team, make the squad. I mean, that's a testament to you.
Sometimes I'll take it.
I mean, the
I'll
players
take it.
the players obviously got to bring it, but when we're talking about that in particular, that's a huge thing because that's not an easy feat having that many kids go
Right.
into the draft and get drafted, whether drafted or free agent, and still be on the team. That is amazing.
Yeah, it is, man, and it's a blessing to be in this space. It means a lot for agents to trust their guys to me to go through the process for the various facilities, and for them to trust me to take their guys through this process, man. It's tremendous, man. It's been a huge blessing for us.
Yeah, that's a beautiful. You got a big dog back there.
No, I'm not moving. I had to get up. I was sitting on the floor, man. These damn kids been running me around. So I was sitting on the floor trying to stretch out. I said, let me sit up, getting some better light.
Here we go. Well, hey, let's talk about these positions right quick because, like I said, the season's upon us. You've been, we had you on the hype. You trained Tristan Hill, which was huge to me. That's a kid that I told y'all, I said since last year, I picked him in the mock draft last year. I said, do not throw this kid away. This kid has talent. He just has to grow up. He just has to mature some more. But do not throw this kid away because he has a lot to offer, I believe, the Cowboys. You also helped train Neville Gallimore. From Oklahoma, rookie from Oklahoma. We all know about Alden Smith, who's been a godsend for the Cowboys. But let's talk about the positions right quick, and then we'll go through the players. Now, when they mention, let's start with the one tech because we'll mention the one techs that are on the current team right now that are probably going to be on the 46-man roster on the 46 game day. We're talking about Don Terry Poe and Antoine Woods. Now, when they say a one tech, what distinguishes a one tech? So when somebody says that's a one tech, what does that mean?
Right. So there's a universal numbering system, and then there's also a universal lettering system. And so we give the gaps letters, and it doesn't matter if it's to the left or to the right, like it does on offense.
Mm-hmm.
The gap between the center and the guard is the A gap on both sides. Okay. So the two gaps that are in between the center and the guard on both sides are A gaps.
Mm-hmm.
The B gaps are in between the guards and the tackles on both sides. And then the C gap is outside of the tackle. If there's a tight end there, it's going to be in between the tackle and the tight end. And so now that we have our gaps established with letters A, B, and C, there's a numbering system. And it starts off with 0. And so if you're a 0, you're head up on the center.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So now if you're talking about a 1, doesn't matter if you're on the left side or the right side, you're going to be in that A gap. You're going to be in that A gap. So when you hear one technique, that player is always going to be in the A gap, whether it's the strong side A or the weak side A. He is going to be in the gap between the center and the guard.
Okay. Now, when we're talking about the one tech, what is the main function of that one tech? What is his main purpose and his main role along the line? What is his main job?
So depending on the defense, that nose guard in that 1, he's going to be his primary responsibility is going to be the A gap, and so he's going to take on double teams the majority of the times. And so his job is to maintain that double team as well. Don't let the guard be able to climb to the second level to the linebackers. So your primary responsibility, if you're one, is to attack the A gap and maintain that double team.
Okay. So when we're talking about maintaining that double team, why would they say they taking a Don Terry? Why is he so important in this scheme? Why was he important for them to get in the offseason? They had an Antoine Woods, but he's a little bit short. I stood next to him. He's probably about maybe 6 foot, about 315, 320. But obviously Poe is about 6'4", 6'5", about 350. What really distinguishes that, and why is Poe a person that you really want to have in the system?
The reason you want a big clogger like Poe is basically what you just said. That height and that weight, he is going to demand a double team, and he's fast enough and athletic enough to be effective. So now you're the offensive line has to dedicate 2 offensive linemen to him. They cannot risk leaving him in a big on big or one-on-one blocking situation with just the center. They've got to help the center when you have somebody like Poe at the 1.
Okay. All right. So now Poe played in the 3-4 and he played in a 4-3. I don't know how much you know about Dontari Poe, but what do you think his best? What do you think he's better in, a 4-3 or is he's better in a 3-4? Is he good multiple?
So he can play in both. He's versatile enough to play in both. And so if he's in an odd surface, a 30 front where he's a 0, that's nightmarish for the center, because now he has a big, strong, athletic, powerful guy in front of him who has what we call a two-way go. He can go into either one of the A gaps. Okay. He can go into either one of the A gaps. A linebacker behind him is supposed to make him right, so he can't do any wrong. Right. That's a tremendous assignment for a center, because he's gonna, in essence, have him by himself. When you put him in an even surface or a 4-man front and he's in that 1, again, he's a type of player that is going to demand a double team, and so he's going to be equally effective in either front. He's going to be equally effective in either front.
So is that why they were talking about, when we hear so many times that the linebackers staying clean, when they're commanding that double team, is that one of the main purposes for them to command that double team, to keep those linebackers free when they want to penetrate those gaps? Or, kind of let me know that.
So, and I have this conversation all the time with interior linemen. Our job is to keep the linebackers clean. We want them to be able to scrape and fill without having to deal with offensive linemen climbing to the second level. So when you have a guy like Poe, who is not only going to command a double team, but he's also going to maintain that double team, that's going to allow now your linebackers to be able to fill and fit up off of your nose or your 1 without having to get off a block from offensive linemen. That's why he's so vitally important in this scheme for the linebackers.
Now, does the linebacker, when he's commanding a double team, let's say he's taking on the center and the guard and he commands that double team, is the linebacker supposed to feel off his backside to where he's taking those 2 guys? Or talk to me about that.
So now we're really getting into some scheme stuff, and it depends on what they have called. Right. So now, whenever and it depends on if we're talking. I mean, I can give you basic stuff based on normal basic defense.
Let's talk.
So if he's a 0 and he's head up on the center, and he is truly a 2-gap player, then your linebackers, and typically if you have a odd surface and 3 down linemen, you're gonna have 3 to 5 linebackers back there, and so the linebackers should not have to worry about A gap. Right? They need to. At that point, their concern is B gap, because your nose guard has both of the A gaps. And so If he's slanting to 1A gap, like I said, the linebacker at that point, his job is to make him right.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever gap he hits, you have the opposite gap.
Nice.
All right. So your job is to make him right. In an even front, they're gonna line those guys up based on the strength or the passing strength, depending on how they call the strength of the defense. And so if you're running an over front, then you're gonna have 2 5s, a strong side 3, and a weak side 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So your defensive ends are gonna be in 5s, which is outside shoulder of the tackle. You're gonna have a defensive tackle who's in a 3 technique, who's on the outside shoulder of the guard to the strength side. And on the weak side, you're going to have that 1 technique in the weak side A gap. So you have a nose guard in the weak side A gap, a defensive tackle in a strong side B gap, and then 2 defensive ends at 5s on the outside shoulder of the tackle. And that's in a over front, right? So they're over to the strength. If they're under to the strength, it's the opposite. So you still have 2 5s, 2 defensive ends on the outside shoulder of the tackles. But now you're going to have a strong side 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now your nose guard is on the strong side A gap. And your 3 technique, the tackle is going to be in the weak side B gap, outside shoulder of the guard. So over and under fronts. And it just depends on what the call is, what they're wanting to do. What are they seeing from the offense? And you switch it up and move guys around from there.
Okay, nice. So we talked about the one and a 0. Now, do usually 1 0 zeros or 1s, they never really get sacks because their main job is really to hold the front. They do the dirty work.
Man, this is grown man's work down there.
Okay.
If you have a nose guard that can go get you 2 or 3 sacks on the season, he's elite.
Okay.
He's elite. What you want from a nose, obviously, is a guy that's gonna take care of the interior run and then be able to press the pocket. And so those are some of the statistics that we look at when we're grading guys and rating guys is how many pressures he put on a quarterback, and what his pass rush, was he able to get depth in his pass rush, and the analytics are crazy. But yeah, you want that 1 or that 0, to be able to give you some type of pass rush, and if they can get 2 or 3 sacks on the season, they got hellfire on their back, brother. I mean,
right.
That's a grown man's job down there.
And see, I think that's why we're excited about having Poe, because if you look at Poe's career, I mean, he's like a pass rushing D tackle. I mean, I think he had 4 to 5 sacks last season at the one tech. And I mean, like you said, that's grown man. I think that's why he's such a huge addition to Dallas. That's what we've been waiting for, because when they had an Antoine Woods or those guys, and let me bring up this man who you just recently talked to, a David Irving. Now, let me ask you this. Now, we're going to switch from that. Was David Irving a 3, more of a 3 or a 1? What was his best position?
David could play any position along the D line. He was effective playing in. I think that one breakout year that he had when he just took over the bays, when it was the Tampa Bay game and the Green Bay game, he just absolutely dominated those guys from the defensive end position.
Mm-hmm.
But then he can also jump in and play the 1 and the 3 and be equally as effective. He was really a special defensive lineman that could play multiple spots along the line.
That's why it really hurts my soul right now, just like you talking about him, because dog, we all wanted him to succeed with us, because he was just a rare breed of a player. Like, you got a guy 6'7", 340, 330, man, and just huge, and like you said, can play all those positions along the line. There's not a lot of guys that can do that and be effective. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it hurts the Cowboys, our fans, because it's like you don't get those type of guys. They don't grow on trees.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So yeah, I actually had a chance to visit with him earlier this week, man. He's just waiting on reinstatement. See what happens.
I like to see him back in the league. You know what I'm saying? Especially because
Oh yeah,
why he left. I mean, hey, it was for marijuana. You know what I'm saying? He said plants over pills. You know what I'm saying? And he called it.
right,
He said
right.
that guess what? The NFL is going to change up this. You'll see. So I gotta apologize to him. I didn't, go off on him, but I gotta apologize to David Irvin because he did call it. He said when he got, kicked off the team or basically they waived him or whatever, he basically said, yeah, the NFL is going to switch up this CBA and they're going to allow marijuana. You just wait and see. And he was going on the tangent, basically saying that this was
Right.
going to happen. And a lot of people were like, yeah. And guess where we are?
That's right. I mean, there is still a drug. There's still a drug policy in place, but it's extremely lenient compared to what it was in the old CBA.
Right. So we talked about the 0 and the 1. Really, it's I can't even get out. It's mostly basically you're holding your gaps. Either if you're 1 or 2 gap, you're holding the gap and you're basically keeping your linebackers clean in those 2 positions, 0 and the 1. Now, when we talk about the 3 tech, that's the glorified position, I guess, if you're a defensive tackle, because that is the position where you're getting the sacks. That is where you're getting more of the one-on-one with the player, and then you're able to make and get plays. Obviously, Tristan Hill is playing the 3. Gallimore is playing the 3, but I'm sure they can flex. Tyrone Crawford plays the 3.
Right.
But what is the main purpose of that 3 tech?
So your 3 technique is gonna be a guy that, and I hate to say more athletic, but he's gonna be the guy, like you said, that's gonna be able to play the run and rush the passer, with the same type of vigor. And so you're not going to see as many double teams. You will see them, but you're not going to see as many. And you're responsible for that B gap, whereas a nose guard is potentially going to be responsible for both A's as a 3 technique, a B gap player. You're responsible for that gap. And it's just a lot. It's a lot looser, right? You get to really pin your ears back and go. When I teach my guys, my young guys, especially to play 3 technique, the term that we use is penetrate the play. And again, you want to keep the guard off of the linebackers. And so the last thing we want to see is a 3 tech up the field and the guard climbing to the second level to block a linebacker. And so when I teach penetrate the play, we're gonna penetrate with the guard. So we want to reestablish the line of scrimmage. We want to press him for at least 2 steps, which equals about 2.5 to 3 yards, depending on how big your 3 tech is. But we want to reestablish the line of scrimmage and penetrate with him, and then play off of it. As long as he stays with us as we're pressing him up the field, our linebackers now can scrape and feel unevaded, and it's a beautiful situation for the defense.
All right, now I'm glad you mentioned that because Rod Marinelli, from what a lot of people saying, and this is no disrespect on Rod Marinelli, man, he's been there and done that, and he's had a lot of good teams. But it's something that you said that we were hearing from afar, that from Taco Charlton and from some other guys, that in his system that they were just to push it upfield. They were just told to get upfield. Now, listen to what you're saying, that you're saying take those 2 steps and basically hold and basically the guy and take him with you, but you're taking him with you so you can see. You're not going past him, letting the guy get to the second level. And that's what a lot of from what I was hearing, defensive linemen were saying that they were told to just shoot up the field, and that's why you saw the penetration coming up the middle so much. Talk to me about that. Am I wrong at that? Is that what his system was?
No, you're absolutely right. And Marinelli made his name in Tampa with Tampa 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the concept there is we're trying to engage as little as possible with the offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're running through gaps. They're not engaging with the offensive line. Their job is to get upfield, shoot the gaps, run through the gaps. And it puts tremendous pressure on your linebackers.
Right.
Okay? And so I can give you an instance where that style of defense cost them, and I believe it was a Thursday night game against Philadelphia,
Mm-hmm.
and the Eagles just trapped the hell out of them.
Yes.
And it was easy for them to do that because they're jetting up the field.
Right.
Right. And so that style of defense, it works. You have to have the right players to make that work. Okay.
Right.
And so you're talking about in Tampa Bay, you had a Warren Sapp, who's probably one of the greatest interior offensive linemen to walk the earth. And then you also had a guy over there who really should be in the Hall of Fame, Simeon Rice. And so you're talking about, really, really talented guys being able to pull that off. And I'm gonna give you some rules when you're jetting up the field. Typically in a traditional defense where you need to, engage with the offensive lineman,
mm-hmm.
a lineman can never. It's a sin for a guard to cross your face. Okay. And what that means is if you're at a 3 technique and they go to outside zone,
mm-hmm.
it is a sin for that guard to get to your outside shoulder. Okay. You've got to fight that like you're fighting for air in a pool and you're drowning. Well, in Marinelli's system, it's okay for them to cross your face. The technique that they use is called tagging. And so
mm-hmm.
they're allowed to run underneath that pulling guard
mm-hmm.
and then penetrate. And so if they've got slow flow, that 3 tech that went underneath the guard
right.
instead of trying to fight over the top,
mm-hmm.
if they have slow flow, he can be effective in the play. But if it's fast flow, meaning the play is hitting hard, slow flow will be a guy like Le'Veon Bell running the ball, very, very patient.
mm-hmm.
He's going to wait for the hole to open up,
mm-hmm.
versus fast flow where they're trying to hit it and hit it now. That 3 technique will never get there. And then the offensive lineman will have a chance to get up to the second level and block the linebackers. And so that was the system that they played in under Marinelli. They jetted up the field.
mm-hmm.
And they were very, very productive in the pass rush.
Right.
They were. But run defense wasn't where it needed to be with the young linebacker core that they had, which now is probably the best tandem in the league. You were expecting those guys in what year with a healthy Jalen? That was year 2
mm-hmm.
and year 1 for Leighton.
Right.
So, I'm really interested to see how they play behind guys that their job is to keep the offensive line from climbing to them. I think those guys are going to flourish this year.
See, and that's what gets me excited, B. Because how many times do we watch games, how you just explained everything? I love how you explained it, because so many times you would see the Cowboys, when the offensive would snap the ball, they would shoot that gap. And it was basically like the offensive line knew what they were going to do, and they basically let them shoot up the field and then sealed them. And then once they sealed them, the running back just ran off his backside. Now you had a center or guard free, and now he's able to attack the linebacker. And now instead of a minimal gain, now you start seeing them getting gashed up the middle. And that was the frustrating thing to me, especially just like you said, Dallas didn't have a Warren Sapp. Dallas didn't have a Simeon Rice. Now, D-Law is a monster, but they didn't, across the line, you have to have really, really good players in that Tampa 2 to make that system work because it's reliant,
Right.
if I'm correct, on.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And from everything that I'm hearing, you know, they're going to play in multiple fronts this year. The talent, even with McCoy being gone, the talent, it's incredible. It's incredible. Hell, Randy was reinstated. I mean,
Right.
what?
And it's crazy because we did the show and we didn't know if Randy was going to be reinstated when we had you on the hype. You know what I mean? And so for that to come up, now Randy is reinstated. They're talking about having Randy play some outside linebacker. What do you think about that?
I think he's versatile enough to do it. If my memory serves me correctly, and sometimes, trust me, it fails me a lot. When he was at Nebraska, they had him do some things like that. And so you actually have out of your defensive ends, I think the one that has the least amount of experience in dropping and coverage is so. I mean, it's going to be scary. Their box play is going to be. I expect it to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I think Randy can come in and really help them. Being able to rush the passer. I mean, his bend he's like plastic, man. I mean, he just his bend is phenomenal. So having him be able to rush the passer and potentially drop in the coverage if that's asked of him, you know, it's just another wrinkle that they have to throw at offensive coordinators.
That damn Ben, dog. We can't wait till the 7th when he come in. And still, you still got an Everson Griffin still on the team that we ain't even talked about. That dude is a monster because he can play outside. He's played the 3 tech. He can play multiple positions. He can slide in the middle. And that's what I love because they got versatile guys down the line. Now, we're going to talk about Tristan Hill again because I'm really pumped up about Tristan Hill. Like I said, you had him. We talked before how you were like, he ain't really professional right now. There was a lot of talk in the locker room, but you got a hold of him. You got to train him. For anybody who may have not heard about what you were able to do, give us a thought of Tristan Hill. I mean, you know, Stephen Jones said, hey, he's the starter. But that's dependent on different fronts, okay? If it's going to be a more passing or if it's going to be run, we don't know. You might have a Tyrone Crawford in there. But what does Tristan Hill offer the boys, and what do you see that he can be? Can he be great? And don't bull job me. Can he be great?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What he's done is learn how to be a professional. You know, some guys it takes them, you know, 2 or 3 out. Some guys conduct themselves that way while they're still in school. Tristan has figured out how to be a professional. He's doing everything that he's supposed to on and off the field. We actually met. What's today? Today's Thursday. No, today's Wednesday. So Tuesday we met and went over film. So his preparation is different. Everything that he's doing is different than what he did his rookie season. And so he has hit the proverbial reset button and taken advantage of the opportunity to have, you know, a new staff. You know, so everyone was on equal playing, impressing the staff and showing the staff what you were capable of. And he took advantage of it, man. I mean, he really did. He's gonna be valuable to the Cowboys this year because again, he can all and the 3. He can play the 1 and the 3. his athleticism is off the charts.
Right.
And you're talking about another guy with tremendous mobility.
Mm-hmm.
His bend is crazy. And then he's deceptively powerful. You know, he will rock you. And so I'm so excited. I'm so excited for
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I think we're all
James, you
excited.
there?
Yeah, we just had a little skip in the internet. I'm still here, so just stay with me. It's just a little bumpy road, but I've been on the like I said, I've been on the Tristan Hill train, big dog. I've been saying, man, don't give this dude away. And even when you watched, and I said specifically the Bears game, the Dolphins game, and the Rams game, all three of those games, he was productive in that game, and every time he made a play, they would take him out. And that's what would frustrate me about the system, because it's like you're not even tired. You just did 2 plays and then you're coming right back out. How can you get in a groove as a defensive player if you get 2 snaps and then you go out and sit out 5 and then you come back in and play 2? I just don't see where, as a defensive lineman, you get continuity and get in a groove as a player.
Yes, that's one of the biggest obstacles young defensive linemen have to overcome coming into the NFL. You know, in college, if you're a starter, you're going to get 60, 70, 80 plays a game. As a rookie, depending on the scheme, you might get 15 plays, 20 plays. And so that's the biggest hurdle young guys have coming into the league, is the amount of snaps that they take. And that was one of the things Taco and I talked about constantly. You know, I can't, you know, I'm coming in, I'm getting 3-4 plays and I'm out. You know, me in on third down or pass rush situations, and you know, I'm cold. You know, I haven't gotten a feel for the tackle. I mean, you know, I haven't been able to put a pass rush plan in place. I can't, you know, I haven't been able to set him up. Some guys can do it. As you get older, you know, and the game is old hat to you. You can come off the bench and give a good 10, 15 plays and be productive. But hey, that's a huge difference in the way guys play if they're going to be sent in and get, you know, 10, 15 plays. Just like you said, make a good play and they pull you out. All right.
Right.
So yeah, that was tough for him last year as well. And it's tough on a lot of young guys.
What's his personality like?
Tristan's?
Yeah.
Unique. Unique, man. You know, I vibe with a lot of guys. And I definitely vibe with him. You know, he's very reserved. And then once he gets to know you, you know, and there's some trust there and some familiarity, you see a different Tristan. But you know, he's not your what you would think would be an average, you know, NFL guy or defensive lineman. You know, he's definitely unique. And I like that about it. We had a conversation after he did an interview a couple of weeks ago, and you know, it was I'm watching it, and it was to get answers from it.
Right.
Well, listen, you guys, these are the same guys that trashed him the year before. You know, now you're asking him about a Scrabble game that the team played and who spelled what words. Hey man, he's not wanting to hear that from you. He's wanting you to ask him questions about football and football only. Let's get to it and let's get out of here. You know, again, remember I talked about him learning to be a professional. I mean, he's there to talk about football. That's it.
Right.
You know, And if you're not talking about football, then it's gonna be a tough conversation.
Yeah, I seen that.
And that's yeah, man. I talked to him. I said, man, I hadn't seen that guy in a while.
Right.
And I said, all business, baby, all business. We're not here to talk about no damn Scrabble games.
Yeah, for sure.
No, sir.
For sure.
We're here to talk about, what you can expect to see from me this season.
For sure. Now I got a question for my guy Cowboys Crunk. He wants to know what's the strength difference in a young D and O lineman from rookies to the vets.
So let me make sure I understand the question. He's asking what the strength difference is.
Yeah, like when
a young
rookie D lineman, O linemen compared to like guys that been in the league. You know what I'm saying? You've seen guys that come out of college like super strong, but then when they touch an NFL guy, it's like So why is it really because of the weight training during that period of time? The veterans just know, or how is that process?
It's a combination of both, and obviously that's going to depend on the individual player. But there's a combination of both. Your technique can supplement lack of strength.
Mm-hmm.
Your technique can supplement, lack of athletic ability. And so one of the things that, as it relates to defensive line play, when you come into the league and you're pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
When you come across a 9 veteran, listen, he knows every trick in the book. And so there's a period that you got to get acclimated to that. So depending on the player, if you're just really strong, hell, I saw Chase Young just destroy a tight end maybe a week ago up with the Washington team. He's a freak. But for the most part, yeah, there's an acclimation period. There's some time that you're gonna have to adjust for sure. Hell, the Rams have an offensive tackle that I believe is going into season 15 or 16, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
In Whitworth. Listen, man, that dude's seen it all.
Right.
He's absolutely seen it all. And so, I promise you he's not as strong as he was 10 years ago and as athletic as he was 10 years ago, but because he had experience, and, his technique is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he can still play in year 15 or 16, whatever it is. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know how them guys.
I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, you did. It's crazy how guys can play that long, especially along the offensive line. That your body gets beat up to me like no other. And for you to play 15 years, like you said, you got to be able to eat right. You better have solid technique, because if you don't, you definitely not lasting in the NFL no daggone 15 years without no solid technique.
Oh man, yeah, man. And speaking of lasting that long, man, my little brother retired today, Akeem Talib.
Yes.
He retired today, man. I'm super excited for him. We had a chance to visit this afternoon, and
tell him to come on my show. He's a Texas boy.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell him to come on. For sure. Y'all both come on.
I'll relay the message.
Yeah, no, just both of y'all come on, because he's a Texas boy. I've always loved his game and his attitude, and I know he got some stories.
Oh man, he's actually starting to.
I know.
Starting a podcast, man.
It's going to be ridiculous too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So super excited for him for the next chapter. Hell of a player, man. I hope that one day he gets the call to go to Canton, man.
Yeah, he was a beast, man. People don't know. I mean, that man, he was a monster every single year, and everywhere he went, he was a dog. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't find those type of cornerbacks the way he was, with that strength, the speed, all that kind of combination. And he came back in the day. It wasn't like he was coming out then. So having those type of cornerbacks when he came out, they were premium. And he was starting the wave. Aqib Talib was starting the wave of the big, strong corner, athletic type corner. So he started a lot of waves, because a lot of people started drafting those big corners as well when they saw what he could do.
Right. He was special, man, for sure. He was special. We laugh and visit about, you know, his days up in Kansas, man. I mean, you're talking about the Kansas Jayhawks, man. They were nothing before he got there, man. And you know, before he was done, man, he has them in the Orange Bowl.
Right.
I mean, you know, to be drafted in the first round to Tampa Bay. I mean, come on, man, this dude just phenomenal. You know, just a phenomenal player, man. And then, you know, you hear about the mischief, but what you don't hear about when it comes to Aqib Talib is the philanthropy, the amount of time he gives to the community, the youth football program that he runs, the things that he does, you know, off the field that he does when there's no lights and cameras on. Just tremendous, man. You know, like I said, he's like a little brother to me. I'm so excited for him, for the second chapter.
Yeah, well, like I said, man, I've always respected his game, and if you can holler at him and you guys could both come on the show, that'd be an awesome show. I just love to just be able to talk to you guys and just talk some good football. So relay that for me, big dog.
Yeah, man, no problem.
All right, so we talked about the 0, the 1, the 3. You know, I'm not going to keep it too much longer, but let's talk about like the 5 tech and kind of like the 5 and the 7. I know we kind of understand about the wide 9, but let's talk about that 5 and 7. What are those guys' main function? Like, what does D Law? If we're talking about a DeMarcus Lawrence, what position or what does he fall under?
So Tank is a 5.
Okay.
Right. Tank is a 5. And so his primary responsibility is to defend the run to the outside and contain. And obviously rush the quarterback. But before we get to what Tank, we need to about a 4 and a 4-eye, because you're going to see the Cowboys this year when they get into that odd front. You're going to see guys at the 4 and a 4-eye. And a 4 technique is head up on the tackle.
Okay.
He's head up on the tackle. A 4-eye, he's on the inside shoulder of the tackle. In essence, you have the eye for inside. And so you will see Dallas with 4s and 4-eyes this year. And then you'll see guys lined up at a 7, outside linebacker types like Alden and Randy. And even DeMarcus is going to be able to do this, rush off that edge. So a 4 or 4-eye, his job is to engage that darn offensive tackle, allowing now for that outside linebacker to be able to get a free pass rush. So you will see that this year. You'll see some guys in 4 and 4-eyes. But as far as Tank's prime position, he's a 5.
Okay.
He's a 5.
Now, we're talking about left and right side, right? Most of the quarterbacks are right-handed. So Tank plays on the left, but he can play on the right. Now, what makes a guy a good right end, or what makes a guy a good left end? Like, is the left supposed to be more of setting the edge and holding down and doing more of the run defense, and the right side is more of the pass rushing? What is really those two difference between those two?
So listen. The fact of the matter is, you're gonna see your highly productive defensive end going on the left side. against the right tackle.
Got you. So why are they always hyping the right defensive end then?
Well, because he's expected left tackle on the offense is supposed to protect the quarterback's blind side.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to be your better of the two. Traditionally, he's going to be your better, potentially your best offensive lineman. That's why left tackles get paid so much, because the quarterback is right-handed. He's going to have his back turned. And so your defensive end, your very, very productive defensive ends are typically playing the left side of the defense going against the right tackle.
Okay.
And so I had a moment of pause because, you obviously want to see, the best on the best, but that very rarely happens.
Right.
That very rarely happens. We want to stick our best pass rusher on the left side of the defense so we can rush against that right tackle.
Right. So because the right side is going to be the more weaker of the two offensive linemen between the right and the left.
Yeah. Well, I hate to use the word weaker, but your left tackle is supposed to be the guy that protects the quarterback's proverbial blind side. And so the better that left tackle is, normal. I mean, that's why they get paid so much. Left tackles make the money because of that. So yeah. Yeah, you're gonna see that, the star defensive end most of the time is going to be playing the left side of the defense.
Okay.
More than anything else.
Okay. Now I got a quick question and we're gonna I'm gonna ask you a few more, but this is from DJ Cobbs. He asks, who do you think has a higher ceiling? I know they play different positions, but you had Taco and then Tristan Hill. I know they're different positions, but who do you think has the higher ceiling? Be truthful.
To answer that question truthfully would be unfair to both players.
Okay.
I think that as they both are right now in their career, where they're at in their career, it's going to depend on who has the opportunity. And so if Taco has the opportunity to play and he's comfortable playing, he can be very, very productive. I think Tristan has that opportunity right now.
Right.
And so as they are as players, Tristan's been on one team, Taco's on his third team. So the window of opportunity is slowly starting to close for Taco as a potential starter if he does not perform well this year.
I would agree. I think I'm not saying this is last stop, but like you said, 3 teams you were drafted in 2017, 3 teams since then. You're going to have to really be productive at KC, because if they cut you, I'm sure it starts going or floating around the league that you're just a journeyman and we're not going to ever take you serious as far as giving you a big contract and starting you. Am I correct in that?
Right. And that's exactly. And it's not fair to Taco because of opportunity. And you and I, the last time we spoke, we talked about the type of room that he was brought in. And some of the adversity that he had to deal with. And being traded away to Miami, going down there, and did he have 5?
Yeah, he had 5 or 6. 5 sacks.
Okay. He was a salary cap casualty in Miami. I mean, he's still a first-round guy. They said had to pay him first-round money. So I think that had a lot to do with them releasing him, because he was extremely productive for him in the short time that they had him. But he's still on his third team in a relatively young career. And, not everybody looks at it the way that I do. So now the question marks, like you said, will be there if he doesn't perform this year in KC. The business of this league is he might not be in it much longer as a starter. As a starter, whereas Tristan in his second year, really being given his first opportunity to perform, his window a lot bigger, right? I mean, he's not on his second team, or he's not on his third team. He's on his very first team in his second year. And his first year, there was not a lot of expectations on him. So in fairness to both of those guys and respectful of their individual situations, I would say that Tristan has the bigger upside right now.
Got you. Appreciate that answer. All right, so let's talk about, I'm going to talk about two players, the quick front, and then we'll be out. So let's talk about, you had Neville Gallimore, kid from Canada. Everybody loved that pick. They loved his intensity, his attitude.
Yeah.
What he brought to the table. He's just super in it. Like whenever you see him, he's just always, seems like he's always on 1,000. Talked about really quickly. What do you think? What's your thoughts about Gallimore? And I know he's a rookie, he's playing behind people, but do you think he'll get any kind of significant time, or he's still going to be a developmental stage type player this season?
I think I hope he gets to play significantly. Hold on a second. Excuse me. I hope he gets to play significantly. I wouldn't call him. I wouldn't. Otherwise, he'd be on a practice squad. I think there's going to be some expectations for him to play. He has the fortune and misfortune to be in a very, very deep room at his position. Even without Gerald being there, you still have Tristan. You still have Woods who can play there. You still have Ty that can play there, and now you also have Griffin that can play there. And so, with that being said, there's not going to be a lot of pressure on Neville to play, but I think he can really be an asset to the Cowboys. I think he was a wonderful pickup. And again, once he makes the transition from being a collegiate guy coming from the Big 12 to now playing NFL football, my hope for him is that he's fantastic. You know, I have tremendous confidence in him playing, you know, a productive 10-year career.
What's his strengths?
His quickness, his quickness, his athleticism. He's still going to need to use his hands, but his quickness, athleticism, and then his desire to be great.
That's what I see.
Really, yeah, really smart. He asks all the right questions. You know, he just really wants to be great, man. And so that's a characteristic that you want all your guys to have, and he really does want to be great.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I saw from Gallimore more than anything else. You saw the town. I'm a Texas boy. I like University of Texas is my squad, so I see a lot of Oklahoma football. But the biggest thing that I saw from him is just that intensity, man. And just like you said, that wanting to be great. You can see it. You can feel it off of him. You can see it off of him that he wants it. He wants that knowledge. He wants everything, anything that he needs to know. He wants to know it. That's from me looking from afar. It just looks like he's the type of guy as a sponge.
Yeah.
He wants to soak everything up. You're going to give it to him. He wants to get out on the field and be able to produce him and put it to practice for what you just told him. How am I right in that, or how we like that?
No, you hit the nail on the head. You know, obviously with him and Gerald both being Sooners, you know, Gerald took him under his proverbial wing while he was here.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
Tried to get him acclimated. You know, Neville has a really good relationship with Alden. And you know, it's always important for the old heads in the room to want to help you. Remember that room is different now, and so those guys they want to be great as a unit. This isn't a me group. This is a we group. You think they're French? They say we so much,
right?
And so, it's the Cowboys, are primed to make a deep playoff run, man. Just based on their front seven. Just based on their front seven, man, they're gonna be in position to really be the team that everyone that has expected this. I'm gonna say 5-6 years.
I mean, I'm gonna just keep it real, dog. It's been a long time since we had some talent up front like this. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Cowboys fan
Yeah,
from birth. You know what I mean? And I've seen it
yeah,
all with the team. And for real, this is Griffin, Lawrence, Crawford, Alden Smith, Tristan Hill. I mean, Dante
Randy
Poe,
Gregory.
Randy Gregory. I mean, it's been a
Yeah,
long time since the Cowboys have had this kind of defense and the pressure where you just don't like D-Law. Everybody was focused on him. We had, you know, basement players, you know what I'm saying? And then everybody's like, oh, well, Tank's this and that. Well, I understand we had Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn was nasty, but he was not a player in the run game that D-Law was. He didn't set the edge
correct.
like D-Law did. So, yes, he got a lot of basically the fortune off of the double teams or a lot of stunting. Now, Robert Quinn's a beast. I love him, but he's still not great in the run game. He's not a great run defender. He's not a great run tackler or anything like that. His job is to rush that passer. You know what I'm saying? And
Right,
that's what he did.
right.
But now we got guys that can do multiple things. Now you got guys that can really sit on that run on both sides. And I think that, like you said, and the camaraderie and competition. Come on, D-Law, Everson Griffin, you got Alden Smith, you got a
Yeah,
Randy Gregory. You got that much talent in the room. The competitiveness
indeed.
and the alphaness, D-Law's already talking about it. They're already talking the alpha stuff already in that D-line room, talking about D-Law's like, I don't care about who's up in here. I'm still the man. So that right there, the competitive push is going to make the defensive line better, in my opinion, because now when I get on that line, you know what? I want to out-sack you today. I'm getting 2 sacks. How many you getting? I'm getting 3. You get what I'm saying?
Right,
I mean, that
right,
happens.
right. Yeah, and that's what you want. That's what you want, and the fact that they have a new staff, you know, created that environment, and that culture of, what, everybody's on the even playing field. Everyone has to compete for their spot. No one's established. That is going to be what has the Cowboys in a position to potentially, make it to the NFC Championship and potentially the Super Bowl, because there's no one had that established spot.
Mhm.
So super, super, super excited for what those guys do this year, man. I'll be watching them close, man. I can't wait to see them this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited about that. Now, one last person I want to talk about who, I mean, he's one of the guys that really got me excited this year. We talked earlier this year. Floyd is the alter ego of this man,
Yeah,
Mr. Alden Smith. Um, does he?
yeah,
I think he can get comeback player of the year. I don't care if he's 30. I don't. I mean, maybe I just might just be blind, but I'm not going off the hypeness, but I'm just saying he's not a regular player like a Randy Gregory. I compare them two together. They're not regular players. You don't see them two type of players. You don't see that damn Ben. You don't see the athletic ability, the freakish nature of an Alden Smith. Now you have both of them on the team. But I think Alden Smith can be a comeback player of the year. People have been saying it too. He said he's gonna get 10 sacks. What kind of year do you think Alden Smith has in a nutshell?
man.
You
I
you
I
just gleam
have
you just
I've
gleam
been
you just
doing this,
gleam you gleaming when you talk about Alden though. Every time I see your face, you
bro.
gleam when I bring up Alden Smith.
Um, he's. I mean, so the longer this thing goes on, right?
Hmm.
One of my really, really tight clients that I have, he's literally family. He's an uncle to my boys.
Hmm.
Played with Alden at Missouri. His name is Jacques Smith. He just recently
I remember
retired
Jacques
himself
Smith.
from the NFL.
Hmm.
That's my baby. When I talk about that's my baby. And so the first workout that we had with Alden, Jacquees was there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it was there. It helped, Alden be comfortable. It helped him relax. Those guys, when you spend 2-3 years with a guy in college, you know everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was able to be himself. And from that, the relationship that I have with Alden is really, really good. And, I spent time with him last weekend. I was able to, we talked tonight for a long time. And, the focus that he has, the chip that he has on his shoulder, there were guys that wrote him off.
Mm-hmm.
That there were people in the media that said he needed to be thrown in jail.
Mm-hmm.
It was he lost the in the court of public opinion.
Mm-hmm.
when he was dealing with his demons.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wrote him off, and so the focus that he has, the chip that he has on his shoulder, man.
I feel like he's a son to you, man.
Let the world know.
I feel like he's like
man,
a son to
dude,
you. I feel like he's like a son to you, man.
So listen, man. I can't say I can't say that, but man, I will say this: when you spend as much time with these guys as I do, even if they leave you.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Malik Collins was one of my guys. I talked to him tonight. Congratulated him. He was named the captain out in Vegas, man. And so, even when they leave you, there's still a relationship there because you spend that much time with them. But to see with him coming back, as long as he stays healthy, bro, it's gonna be scary. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a time during the camp that both the tackles were on the sideline, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Both the starting tackles were on the sideline. I mean, who are they going against every day in practice?
Right.
I mean, this dude was, he was pounding on those dudes, man.
Hey, they said he was
pounding on those dudes.
They were saying that when Tyron Smith came back from his injury, he was giving him fits. They said they hadn't seen in a long time. This is from what I'm hearing from the guys that were there. They haven't seen in a long time somebody get after Tyron Smith like that, the way Alden Smith did. And the thing that really gets me hyped up about Alden more than anything, not just his ability, something that he said in his interview, and even you told me this as well when we first talked about him interviewing, the football IQ. The football IQ that I feel like he has. And then he even talked about in his interview when they sat down and asked him, what do you think you lost? He said, I don't think I lost anything. If anything, I gained because I got to be able to sit away from the game and be able to see it and understand it even more. And then you even told me when you first met him and started training with him, one of the things that really jumped out to you was this football IQ. And I think that's what's going to be huge because you're 30 years old. Obviously, you don't have the wear and tear, but obviously you still have more years on your body. So when you get older, you tend to start thinking a little bit more and stop using that athletic ability so much. Talk to me about his football IQ and how good is it really? Like when they say football IQ, what does that really mean to you?
Hey, that's a great question. Great question. Your football IQ is something that you develop over time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a training concept. It's called the 3 W's. Mm-hmm. What to do, when to do it, and why we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important when I'm training guys for them to understand that concept and apply it to everything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Your football IQ the more you know about what's going on the field, especially pre-snap and when you're watching film on guys, looking for indicators and things of that nature, your football IQ allows the game to slow down. And so when you become a student of the game and everything that goes on around it, you know, you're paramount to your longevity. And so with Alden, and because of the relationship that we have too, I could, you know, say, hey, feel this. He would finish the statement for me. He knew what I was going to tell him. He knew where I was going to. And I'm a non-traditional guy, James. I do things a little bit different. And like I said, I vibe with guys, and Alden understood, and he understands what type of player I need him to be moving forward, and being able to play by feel. You know, I ask guys all the time, how many eyes do you have? And most of them look at me like I'm crazy. Man, I got 2 eyes. What are you talking about? I say, man, how do blind people read? Oh, with Braille. So they're reading with their hands. And I talk to them about that because you have to be able to play by feel. And once you understand that, once you can feel pressure, you know, when you can feel a light run block, that means it's a play action, right? And so once you're able to play by feel and you have a high football IQ like Alden possesses, man, he's going to be out there stroking dudes. And he was really able to do that in camp. That's why he was receiving such high praise. I mean, he's seeing the difference between Dak's, you know, catch and throw versus his 2-step drop versus his 3-step drop versus his 5-step drop, being able to get into the passing lane and jump up and bat passes down. And so being able to play by feel, you can always have your eyes on the ball, whether it's with the quarterback or with the running back. You know, so his football IQ was tremendous. You know, hats off to his collegiate coach, Coach Cool, who's the DC at Toledo, for developing the guys like he did. You know, if you teach somebody something, you know, and you teach it to them the right way and you show them how to apply it, that's going to serve them a whole lot better than, you know, just telling a guy to hook up and go. Right. And so Alden was taught. He was taught by a really, really great coach in college, man. And you know, he had a great staff. He had a great staff his first couple years in the league. And that's going to pay dividends for him now as an older player who, by the way, didn't get any vet days off during camp.
That's crazy.
Listen, man, this dude would be in what, year 10, 11?
Right.
All right. And he's out there working like a damn rookie. You know, so hats off for that. He, you know, those vet days off are huge, man. As you get older, as you know, man, stuff doesn't heal up as fast.
Yeah, you need them days, dog. I go outside and hoop for a little bit. I hoop with my son, dog. I need 3-4 days to recover, and I ain't even going stupid crazy. And my body needs, you know, recovery. So I feel you, but man, I'm excited for him. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for a lot of the players, but I'm really excited for Alden Smith because of all the adversity that he went through. Like you said, he was left for dead. Nobody was even talking about Alden Smith. And even when they were talking about mentioning him coming back, people probably laughed it off. I know. People laughed it off. Alden Smith, whatever. He lost cause. He's done, whatever. So just like you said, the motivation, the self-motivation, the hearing the whispers, hearing the talk, you're done, this and that, you ain't coming back. That's the motivation. And what better team to come back to, the NFL, than the freaking Dallas Cowboys, dog. You played with the Niners. I ain't counting the Raiders, okay? I ain't counting them. You know what I'm saying? I ain't counting the Raiders. You played with them Niners. You was a dog with them Niners. And now I need you to be that dog with the Cowboys. And I really think you are because, like you said, the feel. I feel like he's just that guy that's going to be like batting down a lot of passes this year because he's going to be boom, push him down, jump back up, get an interception. Like, I'm excited just talking to you about Alden, but I'm just really excited
Yeah.
because I think he's going to turn up immediately. I think he's going to come in. I was thinking, let's
Yeah.
start him off slow, get him acclimated, but I just feel like, nah, dog, let him loose.
Yeah. And that's also what is unique about this year's defensive line. Hell, the majority of them have something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
Tank had a down year last year. We talked about that, him not being able to prepare. He was doing physical therapy and rehab instead of preparing for the season. After he got a monster contract, he's got something to prove, right?
Mm-hmm.
Antoine's on a 1-year deal. We call those prove-it deals.
Right.
He's got something to prove, okay? Ty, man, is like, hey, I can still play, man. I got a year or two left in me. I got something to prove. There's a reason why, they took care of me the way that they did when he signed his big deal.
Mm-hmm.
He still has something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
Randy has something to prove.
Oh, hell
Alden
yeah.
has something to prove.
Yes.
Tristan has something. You just go down the line, and everyone has something to prove. And so, when you have a room like that, it's going to potentially be very, very scary for quarterbacks in the NFC East.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really geeked up for this season. I'm really geeked up for the defense. I'm really geeked up for the team. But I'm a defensive guy. I play cornerback. I coach, defense. I've been defensive coordinator in youth football all the way up. And I don't mind scoring points, B. I don't mind scoring a lot of points, but I like shutting you down, dog. I like shutting you down because that takes your soul. That takes your mind. That takes everything from you when you feel like when you get on the field that you can't do anything. And I love that feeling when a team comes on the field and they feel like they can't do anything because even if you don't have a great offense, that defense will keep you in the game. You can have a great offense, but if that offense ain't clicking one game and you ain't got a defense, buddy, you're going to get blown out. But if you got a good defense that can carry at home or carry at away, you will always be in the game. And that's why you need to have defense. I don't care about the 40 burgers. The defense is going to keep you where you need to be. And that's why it's important to me. Now, one last question before we get out of here, Big Dog. I appreciate you once again for jumping on here with me. I always love when you come on.
Always a pleasure.
But talk to me about the difference quickly about Mike Nolan and Ron Marinelli. We talked a little bit about Ron Marinelli, how he really is dependent on their front line getting up the field. What is the difference between a Mike Nolan? What do you think we'll see? What do you think the Cowboys fans can get excited for a Mike Nolan type defense? What do you think we'll see?
It'll be a complete 180 in what you saw under Rod. It'll be a complete 180. Both of those guys have been around for a very, very long time and have established their reputations. I think especially the last 2 years with Coach Marinelli, I think he had kind of gotten into the role here in Dallas of establishing his lineage and his family tree of guys. I'm talking about coaches that he developed. Before the staff was let go, before Garrett's staff was let go, Chris Richard was the DC in waiting. Right. And, for all intents and purposes last year, he pretty much called the defense. And so with Nolan, I don't think that he would ever allow that. It's going to be his show.
Right.
Just a total different mindset and philosophy and the way that they play. And I think that it's good for those guys to have a change. Though both of those coaches, both those DCs are incredible. But I think that the coordinator to watch is going to be Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
Because the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys is a what by trade?
Offensive guy. Offensive coordinator.
Offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's the position that I think is a position to watch staff wise for them. But Nolan and Rod are both tremendous and both have distinguished careers. But again, I think that Rod had passed the torch a little bit to Coach Richard. And of course that's just my opinion. I'm on the outside looking in. You know, I got my face up against the window of the door.
Right.
But yeah, that's what it seemed like to me. You know, even to the Andre Gerard, who, you know, the Cowboys did something that was absolutely amazing a couple years ago in bringing Andre Gerard on and having him. And they bought Josh Brandt in and had him work with the offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
And they had what's the receiver? Miles. What was his last name?
Miles Austin.
Miles Austin was in there working with the DBs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, Dre had established himself enough where, you know, he was helping with some of the play calling as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, a lot of times it's a collective. You know, Coach Marinelli was establishing his coaches, whereas out in Oakland, it's his show again. So you're going to see a little bit of the old Coach Marinelli out in Oakland versus what you saw here for the last 2 or 3 years with Coach Chris Richard here.
Because he's got something to prove
Gerard
over there.
Now oh yeah, man.
You feel me? And I think he got. This is my opinion about Rod. I'm not hating. This is my opinion, big dog. I just feel like you said, he was passing the torch and he got comfortable. I just feel like he got comfortable over in Dallas. And now when you're over with the Raiders, you can't get comfortable because you know what? You're older. There's an expectation now, and this ain't your team. This is a whole new team. So you're going to come in with a whole different fire. Rather than you've been with the team 3, 4, 5 years now, we kind of all know you. You can chill a little bit. Let's not act like none of these coaches don't do that. I mean, it's real. So
human nature.
It's human nature to do that. You get comfortable. You always have to challenge yourself, and if you don't, you get comfortable, and those type of things happen. But I'm just saying, dog, Sunday's going to be here, man. I'm excited. I'm excited on the offense. I'm excited for the defense. I feel like it's going to probably be a little sloppy because there hasn't been any preseason games. So it's probably may be a little sloppy, may be a little slow to see how it goes. But at the end of the day, I'm excited what the coaching staff can bring, and I'm really excited about this defense and the defensive line. And let's get this dub. I know you a Raiders fan, but you told me you closet Cowboys. So go ahead and say let's get this dub too.
Listen, I am a closet Cowboy fan. To the point I got, you know, I'm peeking around the door now. Right?
Just go ahead and say it, dog. Just give up to the Raiders and come on over to our side, man. You know you love us. Hey. You done trained all the damn players. Come on.
Well, so that's just it, man. I'm a fan of players, and so you know, I tell my high school group all the time. I say, man, I can't go watch any of you guys play. It wouldn't be fair. I can't. It's impossible for me to go watch everyone's high school football game on Friday night.
Right.
So I don't go watch anybody's.
Right.
Okay. As it relates to my professional guys, hey man, I'm gonna cheer for you to be as successful as you possibly can as a player each and every week, regardless of who you're playing against. And so the Cowboys is a little bit different because I've for the last 4 years, I've had multiple players, which is a blessing in and of itself. So that's why I'm a closet Cowboy fan, and I'm gonna tell you something. I think you know this as well. Cowboy fans are absolutely bananas.
Yeah, we are.
And the vibe in the city when the Cowboys are losing just absolutely sucks, man. Let them win a game or two, string 2 or 3 wins together, and it's a joy to be here in the Metroplex. And so just for that, man, just coming out of COVID, finally getting to have football. The last thing in the world I want for just a morale for the DFW is for the Cowboys to not perform as expected. This is the one year that I think everyone needs for the Cowboys to do well. And and obviously, shoot, man, everybody that has a team, they're kind of in the same boat. But
not like us though.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, just like you said, not like us. That last
Bananas.
statement that you just said is one of the truest statements. I'm gonna ride with that. I'm gonna probably use it. I'm gonna just tell you right now, I'm gonna use it. But I totally agree that this year, there's been other years that the expectations, but I know it's the first year for Mike McCarthy and the staff, but this year there has to be a difference between Garrett and McCarthy. There has to be. There has to be. I mean, I'm not trying to put the pressure, but we have to at least get to an NFC champion. I mean, we have to, because that's going to make it. If we at least get to an NFC championship, you will say, okay, guess what? We're feeling good. We can get a Super Bowl next year. But if you just get to the playoffs and do just what Garrett did, and you know how the Dallas fans are. Dog, if Dallas lose a couple games in a row and they don't start scoring offense, them calls are already going to start like no other. It's going to be ridiculous, actually.
Man, so locally, there's a talk show, sports talk, GAC is what they're called, and they have a segment on Mondays called Overreaction Monday. The Cowboy fan base is nuts.
Yeah, and the overreaction is probably the biggest one.
Nuts. But listen, hey man, Dak is on a prove-it deal too. I mean,
I know he is. That's that BS too.
Hey man,
Deshaun got paid, Patrick got paid, everybody got paid. I just still don't like that to this day, and I don't care what Jerry's selling. I said it a couple weeks ago, B, that Dak's on a prove-it deal. They want to see what he does with the new coach. They want to see how you do with McCarthy. Stop telling us these lies about this stupid COVID. When he said that, it really pissed me off when Jerry said that the reason why we didn't get that deal done was because of the COVID. I don't want to hear none of that crap, because Patrick Mahomes got paid, Christian McCaffrey got paid, Derrick Henry got paid, Ryan Tannehill got paid, and now Deshaun Watson just got paid. There is no reason in hell that Dak Prescott should not have a long-term deal right now. There's no way in hell. And y'all can spin it all y'all want, Jerry and Steven, to me saying he's your guy. I don't believe it fully, because if he was your guy, he wouldn't have to pull your teeth to get no contract. I mean,
so I, talking about guys' contracts and money is something we typically don't. We try to stay away from, because it's so sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look around the league and you see guys get paid, it's head scratching as to why the quarterback in Dallas hasn't gotten paid, and it's past the point of they haven't made it to the playoffs or won a playoff game. It's past the point of that, because there are guys in the league that have the same resumes
exactly
as Dak.
Deshaun has the same resume. They have the same playoff record. Their stats are damn near identical. I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, what can Dak do better than Deshaun?" Man, I don't want to hear all that, dog. The stats, the proof in the pudding. If you see the player, if this man gets a $40 million a year and he's 1-2 in the playoffs, had an absolute debacle of 24-0. If Dak Prescott would have been, Dallas Cowboys would have been up 24-0 in the playoffs, and then they got beat like that. There is no way in hell anybody in Dallas, well, the trues like me, but all them haters would be like, don't pay him no money. You see what happened in the playoffs? You get what I'm saying? And this man gets blown out in the playoffs, and then he gets rewarded.
Yeah, so I had this conversation with my program director, Derek. We the Deshaun Watson deal changed the game. As it relates to what Dak can expect in a contract, because their resumes are so close. I mean, you could there was a little bit of gray area to argue when Russell got his deal. There was a little bit of gray area to argue when Pat got his deal. Pat's coming off an MVP season and a Super Bowl championship. And Russ has won the Super Bowl, and so you could argue a little bit, but now that Deshaun has that deal, listen, that puts pressure on Cowboys ownership and takes pressure off of Dak, and that's in essence, what it did. The Cowboys could have done what the Texans did. They could have, especially before they paid everybody else. Especially before they played everybody else. And I think, if COVID hadn't come, it would not have surprised me if Dak would have held out. And I think that's why you saw them bring Andy Dalton in, just in case that happened.
Right.
I think the Cowboys were preparing to potentially play or start the season without him. And we've all seen that before. I'll never forget them not signing Emmett. I'm still in school. And the Cowboys go out and don't perform well, and they have to pay him. And the rest is history there. But I mean, the Cowboys have a history of paying who they want to pay when they want to pay them, based on who knows what. Because Tony Romo never had to ask for it.
Never
paid. And Jason Witten never had to ask for a deal. Sean Lee never had to ask for a deal. It was a battle for Tank to get his bread. It was. So if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck, baby.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with ducks and you're a goose, you're gonna stand out a little bit, man. And so I'm excited that Deshaun got that deal when he got it, because it took so much pressure off of Dak. Because now his agent, they can look and they can say, look what Houston did. I don't think, and I've got some clients that play for the Texans. One of them is going to start. Big shout out to Charles Minihue, my guy, man, out of the University of Texas. He's been with me for a while. Super excited for him. But I don't think that's a championship caliber team. I don't think they traded away their best receiver. They're really young. I don't think the expectation is there for them to play for a championship this year, but they took care of their quarterback. The expectation in Dallas is for them to play for a championship, and they haven't taken care of the quarterback. And so because of that, the pressure is off of that. The pressure is off of him to just go out here and play, man. And by God, they surrounded him with some dudes. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is going to be fantastic. They just, hey man, they
ain't no excuses. Ain't no excuses. Real
None.
talk. There ain't no excuses for this team this year. There's none. I'm not listening to any. I love
Nah.
I love the addition of Mike McCarthy, but buddy, I've been telling everybody he got hot fish grease with me. He got hot fish grease, and then it ain't gonna be nothing easy. So you better come out there and perform because this is a ready now team, and nothing less than an NFC championship. Nothing less, in my opinion, because that's why you brought him forward to get you over the hump. We've been to the playoffs with Garrett. We won a few playoff games with Garrett. But at the end of the day, we understood that we were only going to go so far with Garrett. We've seen teams change over to the coach with the talent, and then they go to that next level. This is what McCarthy must and has to do with the Cowboys because I'm not listening to any other thing. There's no excuses.
About 3 minutes ago, maybe a little bit longer, you said you are a true Dallas Cowboy fan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm talking about. Your expectation. Nothing less than an NFC championship appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Anything other than that is a failed season.
It is.
Right? So now you're talking about winning 12 football games, minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Minimum 12, 13 football games for you to get to the NFC championship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is something that the Cowboys have done in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The expectation is that and nothing else. Anything less than that is completely unacceptable.
Yeah, it's failure.
From your mouth and from the mouths of all these diehard Cowboy fans that I have to see all the damn time. And they mean it, man.
I mean, I'm keeping it real. Like, I'm the type of person I look at the team. If this team, obviously, you got a really young team and you're rebuilding. I've seen rebuilding teams, and I've seen when it was 2000, 2001, we didn't have no team, and I never even tried to jump out there and say, "Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl," knowing damn well we might not even win 5 games. So I'm a realist. You feel me? If I don't think this Cowboys team is good, I ain't gonna even be jumping out there and saying, "Hey, we need to do this." But not this time. Not this year. We have too much damn talent. We got really good coaching. So there is no excuses, big dog. There is no excuses. I'm not trying to hear any of them from nobody.
Who would you say? I mean, the NFC East is there's one team. That's Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
But in the NFC, other than San Francisco, because Seattle's got some funky things going on up there, man. Other than San Francisco, who's odds-on favorite to come out of the NFC other than the Cowboys?
You feel me?
There's no telling what New Orleans is doing. Like I said, Seattle's got some funky stuff going on. The 49ers, I expect for them to be good. But shoot, man, Green Bay, funky stuff, man.
Yeah.
Who is it? I mean, who's the odds-on favorite? If it's not the Cowboys, somebody please tell me who it is.
Exactly.
And I'm just paying attention. I'm not prognosticating. I'm just paying attention.
Right.
I mean, who is it?
Exactly.
Who is it?
It better be us. That's all I got to say. But hey, big dog, I ain't taking nothing less. With that commercial, anything less is uncivilized. Hey, I ain't on none of that, dog. It better be this championship, Super Bowl, or buzz for real. But hey, big dog, man, I really appreciate you coming on again. I know we did it late tonight, but all right, who cares? We good. But a lot of great info, man. I can't wait to share this so people can understand what really goes on in the trenches. Trench warfare. When I first saw that name, I was like, I definitely got to be watching these videos. When I seen trench warfare, I went right into that video, and that's the first time I seen you training Malik. You were training Tank. You were training Taco. I think you had Thornton. And I was just like,
Yeah,
who? I
man.
was like, who is this dude training these Cowboys? Okay, let me go ahead and download and record this. Okay, and then I started saying, okay, I got it. Then when I had met Bobby, I said, okay, I got to meet this guy. I don't care how it is. I got to meet this dude because I'm all about trench warfare. The name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just big shout outs to you, dog, from high school, college. Man, that's amazing what you did with that 2020 draft this year. Freaking amazing. Getting all those guys
Yeah,
signed, sealed, and
yeah,
delivered. Man,
yeah.
and just the clients, just what you've done with Alden, Tristan. Man, you're just amazing, bro. And I just really glad that we can always kick it and chop it up, and you can always give me your insight, man. And don't forget, man, get on here with Akeem Talib. We need him. He's
Yeah.
retired. I need both of y'all guys on here, so make that happen for me, big dog, so we can have a
Nah,
banging show, so I
for
can hear
sure.
some good ass stories, and we can just kick it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll hit him in the morning, man. We actually have a few things scheduled to talk about, so I'll hit him in the morning, man, and drop that on him and see what he has to say.
Hey, he can even come on y'all can come on the late night hype, because that if we have you and Akeem on the late night hype, it's gonna go bonkers. We had like 1,500 in the chat the other night, so I guarantee if you guys was in there, that thing gonna blow up.
His energy is unreal.
I know, that's why y'all need to get him, because we'll kick it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, man.
For sure.
Well, before we leave, everybody who's left in the chat, man, let them know where they can find you, check you out, websites, whatever. Let them know, big dog.
So, I'm old school, man. Website is www.trenchwarfare.us. Twitter is at TWF Training, and Instagram is Dline_guru. Come check me out. Look us up. Super involved in youth football and high school football. That's where we started, and we'll always have a footprint there, man. I think right now if I have 60, 70 kids that train with me on a regular basis, 15 of those kids have Division I scholarship offers, man, and we are just elated about that. We just want to develop guys, man, and on and off the field, man, and give back to the community as much as possible. And we all love what we do, man. I'm blessed to have tremendous staff. I'm blessed to have support of so many people, man, and it's a blessing to be in this space.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, man, we're going to have many, many more shows to do and many more conversations, big dog. So once again, I appreciate you. Be safe. Have a great day tomorrow. And I'll see you soon, and we'll be talking soon. And you and Akeem is going to be on the show soon, and I can't wait for that one.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brother.
So you stay right with me. I'm going to end the feed, and we're going to talk right quick. But I'm going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and end the feed. Thank you for everybody who was in here. Thank you for all the donations. Thank you for people who were 1 o'clock in